regular meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. This meeting is now called to order. May we please have a roll call?
Yes,
Mrs.
Mr.
Secretary,
Hall.
thank you.
Here.
Mr. Walker.
Here.
Ms. Heinrich.
Present.
Mr. Vercinto.
Here.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
I myself am here. President Weems.
I am here as well.
Wonderful.
Thank you. We will now pause for a second. Just give me a second and then I'll tell you when to start. We will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Peyton is going to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Payton. That was the best rendition that we have heard this entire year. Thank you. All right, we will now move into items from the president. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education, Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker, to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. We will now move to announcements. Lots and lots of things going on in the past few weeks since our last meeting. First, I want to thank all of our schools who held a Black History program of some sort. I know many of us were able to attend some of those. Just this past weekend, our board met on Saturday for a retreat. I want to again thank the board for their time commitment. I am not aware of any other boards that I'm affiliated with that make the commitment to spend a full Saturday together to do some of the things that you guys were able to accomplish this past Saturday, inclusive of the data dives and the reviews of curriculum, the discussion, the wholesome discussion, the opportunity to sort of provide feedback is all super great, and I just am proud to be part of this group. The State of the Cities was just this past week as well. Want to congratulate both mayors and our superintendent for providing really great updates. I learned a lot, and I'm thrilled about the area that we live in and all that is going on well there. This is Reading Month. Some of us had the opportunity to read to some classrooms, so appreciate board members who have done that or are yet to do that. I know that it is a highlight of mine every March to get into, especially the elementary schools. So thank you all for supporting those efforts. Last night was the PTA Founders Dinner. Was really pleased to be able to attend that with some of my colleagues, and just an appreciation of all of the parents and staff members. I know that there were several staff members who were recognized yesterday, some of whom are custodians who are both daytime and evening custodians with ABE? ABM. So wanted to congratulate everyone who was recognized. I also wanted to thank the superintendent for allowing board members to visit on a more formal basis our schools. Most recently, board members were able to attend North Farmington High School to observe the math curriculum. And so we don't just get to talk about some of this stuff or listen to presentations, but to actually see some of this stuff in practice at our high schools and our middle schools schools with the teaming and our elementary schools as well. I know that many folks find that really, really rewarding, and so Ron, Thomas, and Claudia, thank you for attending that last one. The reflection ceremony was last week. Again, so much going on. And so congratulations to the students. I was really impressed by all of our students, but in particular, a student at North Farmington who wrote about her friend, Micah Rump, who we all learned last year, unfortunately lost her life. But she had just a beautiful story about her own journey with that grief and her overcoming that and realizing how she belongs. And it was just really, it was very impactful to me. So thank you to the PTA folks, parents, and staff members who support our PTAs and the Reflections program in particular. Pauline Kim, wherever you are out there, she's just amazing. I also want to acknowledge that there are other schools who have reached out for Reading Month, and please keep those asks coming wherever board members are available. They like to do those sorts of things, and if we don't, then just know we'd like to, but we can't always make the time. There was a community coffee and conversation. Whoa, this seems like a long time ago, but it was just maybe a couple weeks on February 28th at, was it Blue Hat? Yes. So thank you to our board members, Dr. Blau and Mrs. Heinrich, for hosting that and hearing from our community. There was another community conversation that was held just this past week, which was attended by Ron and Mr. Racinto, Mrs. Smith, and Mr. Hull, to sort of get feedback from our community on, and Mrs. Heinrich, on our 10-year facilities plan. And so that was the first of 3 opportunities to collect some feedback and hear from our community. There will be 2 in-person discussions and 1 virtual, so thank you to the superintendent in her office for making those opportunities available to people and also for providing that flexibility. I think there was some programming at Hillside yesterday with the young people who actually presented. So hearing there's some good things coming out of Hillside as well. I may have missed something. There's a whole lot going on that many of you have been able to participate in. Want to just make a quick announcement for things to come. Farmington United Winter Guard Friends Family Show is at Farmington High School on Wednesday at 7:30. The Rise and Thrive Awards are, I believe it's next week on the 19th. Always a really great event. There are pep rallies going on at some of our high schools. Again, more reading at some of the elementary schools. And there is another ambassador meeting coming up at the end of the month. So stay tuned for all of those great things. The board met earlier today in a special session to have a conversation with our superintendent. This is a part of our normal periodic feedback sort of loop. Really great things going on there, and I want to thank the superintendent personally because I think she's doing a really great job. There's a lot going on, and it has to be really tough to manage a district like this and keep all of us informed at the same time. So kudos for the work that you're doing there. Wanted to just make a quick announcement as well that because this subject has been coming up quite a bit at our board meetings on our reproductive health curriculum. I wanted to again state that the state updated their standards. They previously had not been updated since 2007. The framework addresses contemporary student needs, including expanded guidance on reproductive health and sexuality, mental health, social media literacy, and personal safety. While these standards establish a state benchmark, the Michigan law preserves local control, meaning that individual districts like Farmington Public Schools are responsible for determining how this content is integrated into our curriculum. We have not made any changes to our curriculum, as I've repeated multiple times. However, Farmington Public Schools will engage in a process to review and update our standards, and there is a really rigorous process for how we do that. First is making sure that our administration understands the requirements. There is some further conversations with our staff to ensure that they are prepared for a deeper understanding. Then there's a process around getting community voice and engaging the Reproductive Health Advisory Council. Then there are some recommendations that are made. There are public hearings and board discussions, followed by curriculum writing and some professional development, followed by more public hearings and board discussions, and finally, review. And all throughout that process, as required by law, our school district will continue to provide families the opportunity to review all instructional materials in advance, and parents, again, may excuse their children from any portion of the reproductive health curriculum without penalty. So just wanted to make sure that folks were well aware of that process. And with that, we will move on to our agenda, and we will open it up for public comments. Anyone who is interested in making public comments should fill out a public comment form, which is at the back of the room at that table. And please put it in the ceramic bowl in front of or in back of Mrs. Scripture's nameplate. There are 2 opportunities to make public comment, but you may only do public comment once. We provide the opportunity twice in the agenda to make it easier for people who are either here early or who can't make it early and need to do it closer to the end of the program. If you wish to make public comment, you will get 3 minutes to make your public comment. We ask that obviously you're respectful, that you address the board and not the audience, and also if privacy is appropriate, that you refrain from using any staff member or especially student names. With that said, I'm going to start public comment with Charlie Grulnick, followed by Bill Lubaway, and then Phil Brosman, in that order, and each of you will have 3 minutes. And welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie Gorelnik, and I am once again here as a representative of the local high school robotics team here in Farmington, the Hackbots. I'm here tonight with some more updates from our team. More good news, we are now pretty much 100% mechanically done with our robot, which means we are throwing our entire team onto 2 things, first of which is our programming. Specifically, we're focusing on coding the autonomous section of our game, where the first 15 seconds of every match there's no human interaction with the robot. It is completely coded and completely autonomous. We are also focusing a lot more on strategy, specifically developing more scouting methods for our team. Scouting is basically at our competitions, we give our members notes, and they fill it out throughout the competition, take notes on other teams, on their robots, how they play, how they do, and then it's for 2 purposes. The first of which is to use that data strategically to help us, pick alliance partners for playoffs and to know who we should be in an alliance with. And the second reason is to help promote more learning and more knowledge within our team members. The scouting really helps them focus in and learn more about other FRC teams instead of just watching them. Another thing, especially going into practice every day, watching the construction of the STEM facility being built outside of Farmington High School is extremely motivating for a lot of our team members, especially watching it grow. So I would just like to express our immense gratitude for your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lubaway.
Good evening. I would like to ask that the board rescind the proclamation that they adopted on August 11th, 1920. It's the DEI proclamation, although they didn't name it that. And at the last meeting, the president said that DEI would be revived because it was overturned by the courts, which is, well, half a truth is better than none. The courts never ruled on DEI. It is acknowledged that and here's my problem with proclamation. I don't get past the third whereas, and I feel insulted, as we all should. It is acknowledged that there is a long history of racism, discrimination, and segregation within our community, which has adversely impacted educational and economic outcomes for many racial groups. And no place do you ever mention that 40 Farmington residents were killed in the Civil War to eliminate slavery. That's a double insult. You ignored it. And on the second page of that, section 4, there's where you break it out into the open and say that this is DEI. The board will seek to eliminate incidents of racial bias and discrimination through required diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings focused on race and implicit bias for its staff, while also committing to monitor incidents that are reported and sharing statistics on its results. As a matter of fact, I'm not the one who's racist. This board is racist. And that's been proven time and time again as you focus on the learning gap between all students and black students. And I've engaged in discussions where I said it isn't black students, it's poor students. And you haven't done anything to change that. And so the gap that was there 5 and 6 years ago, it's still there now. And maybe you've made some progress in the interim since the last M-STEP reports. But the question is what you did going to have any favorable impact on the M-STEP results that were measured for the communities? That's how we're compared to other school districts. We fail.
Thank you. Let's move on to Phil.
Mrs. Weems, I'd like to say something. I know we do not do this during public comment,
Go ahead, Mrs. Smith.
but I am very offended to being called a racist. I am African American, Latino. My grandfather was a white man from Ireland, and my grandmother was Cherokee Indian. To stand here, now we get insulted every week, and we don't get paid for it. To continue to come into this meeting and to say some things like that, and to say, no one has ever called this man a racist. But this gentleman has even asked our new board member, I didn't know your wife was black. Just last Wednesday, the comment was made that black people don't have books in their homes. So when it walked like a duck and it quacked like a duck, it started looking like a duck. Now, I am not going to be called a racist. Sit down, sit. You know what? I think
So,
you better take a seat, partner.
Mrs. Smith, thank you for your comments.
I think you better take a
Mr.
seat, partner. You
Mr.
don't wanna do
Mr.
that with
Lovaway,
me. No,
please
you
have a
won't
seat.
call me no racist.
Please have a seat. Mrs. Smith, thank you for your comments, and I appreciate that some might find some of the public commenters offensive. I believe that it is important to talk about race and racism, and we will continue to do so, because when we hear statements like that, including that black people don't have books in their homes, I think it's important to address those kinds of things. If any member of our staff would say something like that, we would most certainly require some training. I think it's important to understand what comments might be offensive to others, and to do better. And so I'm really proud to be a member of a board who believes the same thing, and will continue to support those kinds of trainings and awareness to make sure that all of our people, our staff, our students, and our community feel safe and valued. So thank you for that.
Can I?
Yes.
I just also want to say, and thank you for speaking up, Ms. Smith, but I also I wanted to be very clear that just because people are silent when that kind of behavior takes place does not mean that there's any acceptance about that kind of behavior. And just because people exercise maybe a different form of expression when that kind of situation manifests, again, does not mean an acceptance or or any kind of permissiveness of that kind of behavior, period. I just need to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I apologize for the interruption. Mr. Bronson.
Mrs. Smith, my grandfather's also Irish, so glad we have something in common.
Thank you.
My name is Phil Brosnan. Oh, I cost myself time on that one. We've had children in the district for the past 20 years. My youngest daughter is currently a junior at North Farmington. 3 things I'd like to cover today. First, I'd like to recognize and thank Matthew Greenberg, the choral and theater director at North Farmington. When Mr. Greenberg joined the district 5 years ago, the choral program at North Farmington was quite small. The theater program was, to put it kindly, challenged, and COVID was still very disruptive. Since joining the staff, Mr. Greenberg's grown the choral program from 30 kids to 100, while at the same time raising both the quality and the expectations of those students in the program. It's most recently evidenced by the performance at districts, where both the madrigal and the treble ensembles received district Division I excellent ratings. So thank you, Mr. Greenberg. Secondly, it's the theater program, which Mr. Greenberg inherited, that I'd like to discuss. Although it only exists as an after-school activity, it's not yet adequately represented in the school's core curriculum. Mr. Greenberg still manages to use theater as a tool, not just to entertain, but also to educate. They've tackled some really difficult and serious themes in shows like Radium Girls and last fall's adaptation of George Orwell's Animal Farm. He's also worked hard to expand the size and the scope of the program, which is most evident in the spring show, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which brings together, at latest count, about 130 students in the cast, in the technical crew, in the pit orchestra, and that's not just North Farmington. He's got kids coming in to perform on stage from Warner, from Forest, from Wood Creek, from Kenbrook, and from the STEAM Academy. So his real desire for this year's show is to make it much more than just a North Farmington performance. It really is a community event. And Joseph's been a favorite for 50 years because it's really a great story, and honestly, it's just a really fun show. But I'm gonna let you be the judge of that, because Superintendent Coffin invited you to North Farmington. I would like to invite you to North Farmington too. Please, come see the show. The kids will have put in hundreds of hours of their time and their energy in trying to create something that's amazing. Give them back a couple hours of your time, okay? The shows are April 23rd to April 25th in the evening, plus there's a matinee on Saturday. The way funding works, ticket sales are about the only revenue source that we have to fund productions. That includes sets, that includes costumes, props, the performance rights to do the show, and the professional musicians that we hire to perform side by side with our student orchestra. So it's really vital to the sustainability and the growth of the programs and what Mr. Greenberg wants to do. So please come on out, see the show.
Thank you very much for that. Just really quickly, you said April 23rd and 25th. That's a
23rd through the 25th.
through. Gotcha. Okay, so 23, 24, 25 in the evening, and that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Saturday's got an afternoon and an evening. And how much are the tickets?
They're usually around 12 to 15, I believe.
Okay, I'm going to say whatever it is, 12 to 15. In the evening, it's probably like 7, right? Yeah. 7 and 1, thank you. I've said it before, if you haven't been to a musical program or a play or a theater event at one of our schools, you are missing out. I think they're fantastic, and you should really go see one. So, yes.
Senior citizens are invited to the plays for free. I think
Oh, nice.
tickets at the board office.
There's the senior
a senior card at see Colleen at the board office, and she'll.
So don't show up
Relations at the
without
board
the
office.
senior card is the thing, yeah. Expecting and say, I'm a senior citizen, you see this gray in my hair? No, you need a card. Mr. Jacinto.
I'd also like to encourage everyone to attend the musical theater throughout. My daughter has been involved since Warner, her Warner days. I'd also like to thank the Brosnans, Brad, the whole team. These men and women put in time beyond their work to construct the beautiful sets. They're safe. They work together with the administration at North for access, safe access. They're working on ways to educate the students on how to safely build and encourage folks to get into the construction arts. Phil, for example, has designed much of the set through CAD, computer-aided design, which again, he's willing to teach some of the students if they're interested in that. So I want to wish everyone a good luck. These guys are great to work with. I always try to raise my hand and only can show up during set strike. So, but it's going to be a great performance from what I hear.
Yeah, and Elena's been doing great since Peter Pan at Warner. So I agree with you. I agree with you.
Thank you, Mr. Sino. Thank you, board.
Thank you. Our final card, if anybody else, I only have one more public comment card, wants to speak, please fill out a card. Forgive me if I get this wrong. Ms. Suk Drews? Oh, yes.
And thank you. My name is Misuk Drews, and I teach 3rd grade at Beachview Elementary. So I'm Misuk Drews, and I teach 3rd grade at Beachview Elementary. And one of the things that we hear back, like comments from guest teachers or other people that's been in our building, they always say how friendly and kind and you know, how we are so inclusive and we welcome people so well. And even the students are very welcoming. And the reason why I was compelled, not impelled, compelled to come here, even though I'm not very comfortable speaking in a big public forum like this, is that, and I'm shaking right now, but because I care and have built such strong relationship with Derek and Courtney and JoJo, who are our custodial staff. They're like family to me. I don't know about other people in my building, but we're pretty tight in our building. And they're like family. In fact, all 3 of them have come to my family reunion because we hold it at the Heritage Park. That's how close we have become. And I've been in the district for over 20 years, and I've been through the transition of, you know, when the other company took over and how terrible it was, and then the new company. And since we've had, the company that Derek and Courtney and JoJo are right now, it's been wonderful. They're like family. They're not only are there to just work and doing their jobs well, they also are involved. Like Courtney, she is our lunch monitor. So she knows the kids. She knows who needs help and who doesn't, and who can come to her. And some students are so comfortable, they go to her. They ask for her, or if they need to calm down space or anything. And if she's available, she's there for them. So, and Derek, oh my goodness, he is I always call him, you're my Prince Charming, because he's there. And if he's there at night when it's dark, he watches me leave. He'll open the door and make sure that I get in my car safely, because I'm sometimes the last one to leave. So I really value the relationship that we have built with these people. And in fact, I'm so glad you have this profile of a lifelong learner here. One of the profiles is that we're working towards being compassionate community members and resilient problem solvers. I can tell you, each one of these empowered collaborator, they're all, practice that with the kids every day. So thank you for letting me speak, and please keep them.
Thank you very much. That was the penultimate card. Now we have Mark Forshee. If there is anyone else who wishes to make a public comment, please pick up a card. Otherwise, this will be our last public comment for this period.
This is from an article by Jeff Minnick. On June 6th, D-Day 1944, some 73,000 Americans landed on the beaches in Normandy or parachuted into the French province. On that day, on Omaha Beach, Americans met a stiff resistance from the German and Nazi forces. The fighting on the beach that day left 2,400 American dead, wounded, or missing in action. So going back to the Constitutional Convention, at the end of the Declaration of Independence is a vow. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. The men who signed that document were serious about liberty. They knew they were putting themselves in grave danger by that standard. They force us to read those words to weigh our own beliefs and commitment to freedom. On the last day of the Constitutional Convention, Benjamin Franklin was asked, "Well, doctor, what have you given us?" And he said, "A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it." So jumping back to the 1960s, in a speech delivered from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King proclaimed, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they shall not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." More than 60 years later, that dream still haunts us, asking whether we have yet learned to judge by character rather than by skin color.
Thank you. I agree. All right, I think if there are no further public comments, seeing no further public comments, we will move on to our agenda. The next item is items from the Secretary. Mrs. Secretary.
The board received communications regarding the Office of Head Start notifications, many emails regarding concerns over outsourcing of custodial services, and safety concerns around ICE. The board acknowledges all communications and responds as appropriate. A list of correspondence is included in the board packet, which is available on the Farmington Public Schools website. That's all.
Thank you. We will now move to legislative update.
Thank you. Just a few things coming up. There are a set of House bills, 5310, 11, and 12, that are being introduced that would eliminate the current schools of choice framework for districts and replace it with a mandatory statewide open enrollment system. And I know they're just being introduced, but something to keep an eye on, where it would essentially remove the shift of authority from our local school board to a statewide mandate. So we'll keep an eye on that. The budget is still being worked on that Governor Whitmer introduced. Again, there have been some discussions regarding and presentations examining potential weighted school funding models and maybe some structural changes in current foundation allowances. A reminder that for us and anyone or any of the school board that it is May 20th is the behind the scenes at the Capitol Legislative Day, and we're all invited to attend that. The registration would be through through Colleen. And then on the federal level, there has been a national advocacy effort by the Epilepsy Foundation called Seizure Safe Schools. It's been going for some time. And there has been sort of momentum for seizure training laws. Many states require them, Michigan does not. So there's a goal to ensure that someone in each building could respond if a student has a seizure. And so again, we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will now move to district updates.
Yes, thank you, President Weems. As you had mentioned, it has been an incredibly action-packed week since we last all sat here at this table. My calendar, I know, has been full, but more importantly, my heart is really full after spending so much time listening to people who make this district what it is. One of the highlights for me, and I know for many of the board members who join me, is to continuing to meet with our students and principals as part of our Lunch and Learns. There's nothing quite like sitting down with our students to hear their perspective. We ask them about the opportunities they have, whether they feel truly noticed and heard by us, and what exactly does success start here mean to them. Their insight is exactly what should be driving our decision making. I've also been able to meet with several of our PTAs. It's been wonderful to hear parents talk about their hopes and their dreams for their children as they move through the Farmington Public School system. Whether they have a preschooler or a high school senior, that shared vision for their child's future is really what keeps us moving forward. As President Weems shared, we did hold our first community conversation, and this is really an opportunity to connect specifically with community members who may not be connected to our schools, no longer have children within our district. The next session is going to be April 9th at 6 p.m. right here in this board meeting room, and we look forward to another great turnout. I too had the pleasure of celebrating our students' incredible talent at the annual PTA Reflection Ceremony. To see that level of creativity in one room is a reminder of the whole child education that we strive for. Additionally, I was proud to represent the district at the State of the Cities that we were able to host right in Farmington High School, where I shared the amazing work that's happening with our broader community. I was also honored to serve on a panel for the Michigan Education Workforce Initiative. I sat with leaders from across the state to discuss the innovation happening right here in Farmington to ensure student success. It's clear that FPS is often part of the conversation when people talk about what's working in Michigan education. I also joined a team from FPS and across the state to meet with U.S. Representative Haley Stevens to discuss the teacher shortage here in Michigan and how this can be addressed. We were able to share our thoughts and perspectives, and we're happy to provide feedback from not only myself, but our educators sitting at the table and the impact this has long-term for us and others in the state. And we so appreciate Representative Stevens taking the time to listen to us. As we head into the business of this evening, I do want to give a quick shout out to our educators and all of our support staff. As we transition into this busy spring season, their energy and dedication makes all of these successes possible. It really is a great time to be part of our district. Next, I'm going to share another really cool thing. I'm going to invite up to the podium Ms. Dawn Christensen, an educator with Project Search, Ms. Doreen Forrester, who's a supervisor and principal at Visions Unlimited, and Dr. Lydia Moore, our Executive Director of Special Education, to share an update on Project Search.
Good evening, Dr. Coffin and Board of Education. Thank you for having us here this evening. I am not going to take up much of your time because I am going to allow my colleagues to tell you about Project Search, our newest adult transition program that we have in Farmington Public Schools. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to Dawn.
Hi, my name's Dawn Christian. I am an instructor at Project Search. I am a teacher in Farmington Public Schools of special needs adults currently. Whoops, thank you. I'm also a Farmington resident, so I want to say thank you to all of you for all you do here. This is our crew here. We are a school-to-work transition program, and we work with New Horizons and MRS, Corwell, and of course, here we are in Project Search. And Project Search is a model that we follow and to complete the program. Here it kind of says what it is. That's okay. Well, that's okay. Yeah. So Project Search is a worldwide models. So there's 782 sites. I think that's kind of cool. We have 11 countries, 48 states, 18 sites in Michigan, 3 sites here in Oakland County, Corwell Health in Farmington, West Bloomfield, Henry Ford, and Troy, Corwell. Oh, thank you. Who participates in our program? It's young adults who have an IEP and school transition services, ages 18 to 26. They are able to participate in the full school day, and it's really geared towards young men and women who are interested in working and getting a job. They also have to apply to this, and there's that whole process that we don't need to go into. So here's some specifics. They want gainful employment. This is also considered their last year of school because off they go to work after this. Typically, there are 6 to 8 students. We have 6. Our first year, I think we're doing great. We follow Farmington School's calendar. There's a special education teacher, and we have 2 skills trainers actually on site based upon the amount of interns we have. We call them interns. So they come, we all report to Corwell Health, and we all work from there. That's where our classroom is. We do all kinds of interesting things. We have 4 departments: nutritional services, materials management, environmental services, and sterile processing. We run a regular school day, but they are at work most of the time. The goal is for us all to teach them the job training skills. Here are some of our curriculum that we follow. That's good. So Thursday, we went to New Horizons in Auburn Hills, and there were 10 different companies there, and they all had a chance to do, like I called it, speed interviewing, and they went and rotated through 10 different companies, practicing their interview skills. It was so amazing. I really enjoyed it. It was way better than I thought it was going to be, I have to say, and they all did great. This is just us, some pictures. We are committed to getting things done. So this is just, they eat together. They have a choice of either eating with their departments, but they all choose to eat together. They do 3 different internships of 10 weeks each. So currently, we're on a transition week, as we call it, and we're working on our interview skills still and resume. And so hopefully when they'll leave, they're going to have a nice portfolio and a Google Drive filled with information that they can take and go on and have gainful employment, yes. And we're going to help them find jobs. So if anybody knows of any jobs in Farmington, oh, sorry. Please, think of us.
So the exciting thing about this program that is different than what we've done prior is that really strong connection between the schools, Corwell, the host business, and Michigan Rehabilitation Services, or MRS. So New Horizons is an agency that provides skilled trainers. We obviously provide the instructor, and Corwell actually has managers that are working to teach the students the skills they need to become employed. So these are not students that are on a job site with a paraprofessional the whole time. We have that option for students who need that, but that's a different program. What's exciting here is that this is, the students are really taking a lot of their direction from the manager and their colleagues in their different settings. And Dawn's done an amazing job at getting this program up and running. Doreen's done an amazing job of supporting. And I know that when I hear the students speak, because they have recently shared their experiences, the pride and ability to talk about themselves and advocate for themselves is astounding how far some of these young men and women have come in the short period of time. So thank you. Any questions? Yes?
I just want to say that I think this is such a wonderful example of a true wraparound set of services for our students, specifically our students with IEPs and such. This is what happens when the community and businesses get together and provide the space and place for our students. And you mentioned pride and dignity. And too often I think we forget that they want the same things that we want. Even though they may not communicate it in the same ways, they want the same things that we want. And us doing this, it cannot be overstated how important this kind of work is for a population that oftentimes doesn't have the voice it deserves. So I just need to lift that up, and I want to thank you all and everyone else plugged into the program with that work.
Thank you. Mrs. Smith?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You all have, well, especially you, Doreen, you know, and Lydia, you know where my heart is in this community. And especially when with our students, but mainly with this population. The work that you do with these students, with mainstreaming them, if I use that word, and how you've shown them how to go out into the community, how to go, I mean, there's been a couple of them I've run into in TJ Maxx and some other places. But you are teaching them, even at Henry Ford Hospital in West Bloomfield, I've seen some of our students in our markets. I want to thank you. And this is diversity. Thank you.
Mr. Hall?
I'd like to also thank you for taking the time and investment of our young people that are normally overlooked in society. And we put so much money behind to make sure they're educated, make sure that everybody get a fair chance. And to have that investment pays off, and I'm sure that with their parents, to have a sign of relief that my child would be okay after they're gone, you know, and that speaks volume of the community that we serve, because everybody can contribute to their best ability. So when we actually have a group of caring individuals that say, hey, we can go ahead and give them a sense of pride and a sense of contribution, that is all was worth all our efforts, all our time, and all the education that we spend with them in our investment. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, Dr. Coffin talked about the teacher shortage. And we were at North Farmington observing our math curriculum and the teachers and hearing this presentation from our educators here. So thank you for choosing a profession where you get to go to work and make the difference in the life of young people every day. And I think we need to get the message out so that the schools of education, instead of having a shortage of students, will have a waiting list of students that want to get in, because it is such an important, because the work that you're doing is so important. And the work that you're doing at this level with our students that need this extra support is so important. And so thank you so much for choosing education and choosing to make a difference in the lives of young people.
And I can just say honestly that it is our honor to support our students and to represent Farmington Public Schools with community partnerships. So thank you all very much for your continued support of our transition programs.
All
of them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We will now move on to the reports from board committees, and Mrs. Heinrich, will you provide the Finance and Facilities Committee meeting?
Yes, the Finance Facilities Committee met on March 2nd. Myself and Dr. Blau were present. The first thing we talked about was the oven purchase. This is going to be a discussion item. There's a need for a new combi oven at Hill Elementary School. And so that will be presented. There's bids and through consortium pricing. And one of the things we asked with the new nutritional guidelines, this is something that is a worthwhile investment. And yes, it is. And so this is going to be needed to replace aging equipment, but it's a long-term investment. The next thing we talked about was the furniture purchase, and I think that was a discussion item. No, it's a discussion item for this, and so there's a, and then it will be, so there's 2 meetings for it. So it's a discussion item for new furniture for the transportation staff lounge and hall, over at transportation, and also furniture for the hallways in this building here. And the third thing was an update on the district warehouse. And the finance committee or the board had asked for an update just because when this was put in, we were told that it was going to alleviate some of the storage problems throughout the district, and it will also free up some space in some of the buildings that could be put to better use. And so we had an update on that, and I think that is going to, that's not a discussion item, is it? No, okay, so anyways, they updated the finance committee on that, and it did reduce costs in the district because we were renting semi-trailers that were kind of expensive, and so we have made better use of our resources. So thank you for that. That was it.
Thank you for that update. Seeing no questions, we will move on to discussion items to discuss all of those things.
All right, I'd like to welcome Ms. Jennifer Kaminsky, Assistant Superintendent for Business Services, to the podium to talk about the nutritional service proposed purchase.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Unfortunately, Ann Stevens, our Director of Nutrition Services, could not be here this evening, so I am presenting on her behalf, and I do not have a presentation at all. As Mrs. Heinrich mentioned, the combination oven purchase was presented to the Finance Facilities Committee on March 2nd, and I know there were some questions that came about during that meeting, and I did provide some information through email answering some of those questions. If there are additional ones at the end of this information, I'd be happy to answer them, or if I can't, I will make sure you get the answer before you vote on April 7th. So the combination oven purchase is being recommended for Gill Elementary. The Nutrition Services Fund is a federal fund, and so there are certain procurement requirements that apply to that, and that is, it's considered a small purchase if it's less than $350,000. So this oven is around $40,000. So we are required to follow the small purchase requirements of federal law, which allow us to go out and obtain 3 quotes for equipment and other similar items. And so we did obtain 3 quotes for the Blodgett, they shorten it for Combi oven for Gill. We found that our oven was approximately 40 years old, and so we've maintained and repaired that oven for many, many years. The useful life is typically 10 to 15 years currently. And so as the oven gets older, product quality becomes inefficient, inconsistent, and parts are hard to find as well. And so the new technology that is now in ovens will help improve food quality and production efficiency. So 3 quotes were received. Gold Star products for $42,020.08. Bell & Sons, $44,285.01, and Stafford Smith for $43,867. And so we are going to recommend that Gold Star be awarded the purchase for the oven. Also included with the actual oven is removal and disposal of the existing oven in that space, delivery and installation, equipment setup and commissioning, and then on-site training for staff. And if approved, it will be funded through the Nutrition Services Fund. And I can answer any questions you might have.
I do have one question, and it's just around, the age of ovens at at our other facilities. Is this the only one that appears to be like, 40-plus years old?
Right now, because we have been replacing equipment, either through redoing a kitchen altogether, through some of the bond projects, or replacing it on that as-needed basis over the last 10 to 15 years, so.
And just so that I have, an opportunity to understand the scale of this, given the price here, like most of us are familiar with double ovens. This is obviously much larger than that. Like, what is the capacity for this kind of oven, given this pricing?
Capacity, that I'm not able to answer at this time. Okay. Obviously, it's a commercial oven, and so different features for that, I guess greater use. We're using it on a daily basis where you may not use your oven at the same level, but I can find out that information for you.
I'm just trying to get a sense for what was I'm guessing is the same size as
That's
the
correct.
old one?
It's the same size.
Okay.
Yes.
And this went through the same sort of bid process you go through? I don't know if it's consortium pricing or...
So that's been the difference. There's been some changes in nutrition services, equipment purchases over the last year or so, where it follows the federal procurement guidelines versus the state of Michigan guidelines. And that's what I talked about at the beginning, was that we have to, if it's less than $350,000, which the $40,000 is, then we are allowed to obtain quotes and compare those and select the company that we would like to use.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I want to thank you for that presentation, and we can move on to the furniture purchase.
Yes, so Mr. Paddock will be joining Ms. Kaminsky at the podium to share information on furniture purchase recommendation.
Good. Thank you. Good evening, President Weems, Dr. Coffin, and the board. Thanks for this opportunity. So, we're going to spend a couple of minutes with you tonight to talk about the furnace purchase recommendation for transportation and MEC, and we certainly appreciate this opportunity to just articulate a couple of details for you. So, when we think about the furniture purchase recommendation this evening, this is discussion only. April 7th is when we would ask this to come to the board for an action item. And it's important to note that this recommendation, as Mrs. Heinrich talked a little bit about just moments ago, that this recommendation has been reviewed with the Finance and Facilities Committee on March 2nd. And we spent some time talking about some of the questions that they had and certainly addressed all of those. And I'll recap those at the end of this presentation. When we think about the what for the purchase, Jennifer?
I'll walk through this slide. So what are we purchasing and the cost of that? So we're going to be replacing all of the existing tables and chairs in the transportation staff lounge. We'll be purchasing chairs and small tables for the hallway waiting areas here at MEC. And those are similar to the chairs and small tables that you see down one of the hallways at the administration building. We're using the Omnia contract noted here, which is a competitively bid consortium contract, and so we're taking advantage of that pricing. Our total quoted cost, including shipping and handling, is $43,050.65. And so this is through ODP, which is the vendor that we used for furniture purchases here at MEC when we purchased the furniture a few years ago, and then over at administration. So the recommendation will be to approve a not to exceed amount of $50,000 in case anything pops up later on that might require adjustment. And the funding source will be general fund. So we do have an allocation right now in our current budget for furniture and fixtures, and we'll be using that line item to pay for this.
Any questions from board members on this one? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a few more? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we think about the human experience, I think it's very important when we make decisions to always articulate and have a chance to explain the why. So transportation staff lounge, the current lounge furniture is actually over 20 years old, and it has been assembled from other locations all into one. Providing a professional, clean, and comfortable space to regroup for employees between runs. This happens to be an area where quite a few of our employees will spend some time together just because of their work shift. Our director holding some staff meetings there, opportunity to hold in a large space some strategic staff meetings. Strategic use of budgeted general fund dollars, Jennifer just explained that. Bus drivers and transportation staff are a critical employee group supporting student safety, so very important. Their comfort does matter to us as we continue to think about keeping our employees. And a well-designed lounge signals that the district values these employees and supports job satisfaction and certainly pride in Farmington Public Schools. Jennifer talked about bringing some of this together that is consistent with our other buildings. The why behind the MEC hallway furniture. Currently using what we're referring to as some outdoor furniture as you approach some of the hallways and seating areas in this building. Enhancing the experience for candidates and community members waiting in the hallways, right? This building is visible to the community, and certainly when we conduct some job interviews here, we want to make a nice first impression for folks coming in, and ultimately providing a professional setting, comfortable seating that reflects the district standards across all buildings. And support an open collaborative space for the MEC staff, as if they want to come out into the hallways, they do have a little collaborative space to visit and also conduct some meetings in more of an open space. And then aligning the MEC environment with the administration building. You heard that we're working with the same designer, essentially looking at the same furniture to bring some alignment with similar furnishings to all of our places. So this is just a quick rendering. If you can envision the current space at the staff lounge over at transportation, the 4 graphics, that's what that is there, and you can see the gray laminate wood tops are consistent with spaces and furniture that we have in other places. And then not so much a rendering, but if you can envision some of the furniture you've all been down the hallway at the administration building, that sofa type furniture is exactly what's pictured in the lower right-hand corner for you. So important to note, finance and facilities discussion. This was a great opportunity for us to come before them. Jennifer and I were able to articulate a little bit more in detail than we went into tonight. But what was important is that as we discussed bringing this forward for all of you, that I wanted to recapture just some of their great questions that they've already had and some of the things that we looked into in preparation for tonight. So opportunity for input. That was a question that was talked about, is who helped design some of this and who the ask and who was involved in this. And certainly our FTA, a collective bargaining group, they had some representatives bringing this to our attention as something that they would appreciate and like. Transportation director was involved with some on-site visits. There were some questions about the comfort and ergonomic design and how was the furniture selected. Cost and fiscal impact, Jennifer talked about that this was an already budgeted line item, but we have to come to you because of the amount. That's why we're coming here today. And then the impact and on the employees in the overall district. And I think it's important to note that this invests in a critical employee group that you heard me talk about that does have just the uniqueness of their jobs and split schedules. And then at the MEC specifically talking about that experience that we're trying to create for maybe a first impression as folks come in here and think about this district as a place of employment. So the final recommendation, to be clear, so tonight is just a discussion. April 7th, we would be having that as an action item. So furniture purchase for transportation staff lounge, hallway furniture here at the MEC, not to exceed $50,000 from the general fund. And then of course the next steps would be we would get going on awarding the contract and then potentially some installation and getting some shipments delivered here. So we thank you and essentially look forward to your approval next month with this. So thanks for the opportunity to discuss.
Mrs. Smith?
Thank you. I really appreciate that you brought this to us, and I appreciate the fact that the bus drivers are being looked at. I have gotten up and ridden the buses, actually coming over here at 6 o'clock in the morning, knowing I do not like moving out of that room of mine until 9. But I've ridden the buses and I've seen that bus yard A few years ago, we looked at a building that would have been ready, just a turnkey. They would have had a beautiful facility. But as you know, that was turned down. But I think that we, as a board, many of us have, well, I've had my kids go through here, Ms. Weems and Mr. Walker and all the, Mr. Hall, Mr. Jacinto here. You have students here, and those are the first people our kids see in the morning, and they're the last that see them at night. They need, and not only do they do buses, they do things throughout our community. They're in our parades. It's a good group of people. We shouldn't just be looking at them like they just a bus driver. Let's make sure we have something nice for them. We sitting in here and it's nice, so let's let them have something nice. So I thank you for the recommendation. Make sure we can get if you can, get something special for Mr. Hill, so and his staff, and I want to see this happen. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to bring it to you. Thank you. That's what we have.
Yes.
Upon approval, what's the turnaround time for the furniture to be purchased and installed?
Yeah, I think it's about 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
Mr. Walker, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, thank you so much.
I had a similar question just on pricing. As I look at some of, and I've had this question before, and I appreciate there's a difference between more of the commercial grade furniture than furniture I would buy for my home. When I'm looking at some of the pricing for chairs and tables, they feel way out of the range of what I would buy at home. And can you just speak to that and what the rationale is for that? I'm guessing, more use, sturdiness, if you could just help the public kind of understand that a bit.
Yep, similar to the furniture that's purchased for the boardroom here and some of the other spaces. It is meant to withstand, I guess, more use than a typical household would be. So yes, commercial grade furniture. I believe some of it's Han, which is a very good quality product. Again, we don't want to invest in something that isn't going to last long term, and so that's been taken into account as well as to the life of these products. So,
thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, I think we can move on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our next item is a discussion on this. Our next discussion is on the custodial bid recommendation. You all will remember that this was a discussion item at our last meeting. It may or may not have been an action item. This is the third time that we are discussing this item. And I personally thought it was important to have both a discussion and an action item on our agenda today to give us an opportunity to talk through this again. I know there was a fair amount of discussion at our last meeting. I know folks were in various places when it came to whether they were ready to move forward with recommending an action. And so we decided last time to get some additional questions answered. Some board members still had some questions. I'm pretty pleased that the district has addressed most all of them, even going so far as to have a meeting with the group to get more in depth in terms of what some of the concerns were beyond some of the things that have been answered for us. So I just wanted to open it up and see whether board members had any additional questions. If not, I'm happy to summarize some of the questions and go through that, or ask our facilities chair if she'd like to do that as well. Not putting you on the spot, you don't have to. I can do it if you like.
Well, let's hear what people have to say.
Sure.
We've had feedback, we've had questions.
Dr. Blau?
I would love to hear, I know that Dr. Coffin, between our last meeting and this meeting, has had an opportunity to invite many of our custodians in for a conversation around this. And I was wondering if you had any feedback.
Yeah, so thank you. And that was something that came out of that last meeting, talking to a couple board members, that would be a nice, the next step. So I had a great meeting with the group. I think pretty much everyone there was able to come. A couple had mentioned that they had a doctor's appointment or they weren't feeling well, but outside of that, it was a packed room. And I'll say what came out of that is I just appreciated everyone's openness and honesty about some of the challenges that were currently occurring between what I'll say is our daytime shift and our afternoon evening shift. And what we realized, or what I realized from that conversation, was that there was some work we needed to do on the contract management side, because there were some things happening that needed to be changed. And so within 2 days, we made that change. But I wouldn't have known, and I appreciated the feedback and the honest and open conversation, and the professionalism of the group to be willing to sit and to share that with myself, and Ms. Scripture was in the room. So from there, we knew that we had to fix that, and we did that. So again, I think I shared with the board some additional information, but overall, I just really appreciated the group making the time and spending like over 2 hours with us after their shift to be with us. So again, it gave us a good perspective of what needed to change, and we've made steps in that direction immediately.
I really appreciate that as we're moving through this process, that you took the time to do that, because they are very important members of our community, and they deserve that level of respect and inclusion.
They deserve to have the support. They deserve to have the support.
Absolutely. I also, I'm glad to hear that the conversation was really fruitful and productive, and that some items were addressed that were taken care of right away, because that also demonstrates our commitment as a district to
listen,
to listening, and yes.
And correct.
Exactly. And I don't know what our ultimate decision as a board will be this evening, but that I feel encouraged that whatever decision we make, that the relationship between our superintendent and our custodians is strong and healthy, so that there can be an ongoing communication and relationship building between our existing staff and whatever, and whoever else.
With our students.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So thank you for that.
Go ahead.
I just, for the point of clarity for myself, going back to the last meeting, it felt like the general lean was that we were looking at, or was being looked at or favored upon, outsourcing day staff and making it a fully privatized piece. But what I wanted to be very clear on, especially having read the emails and listening to public comments as well, is that our commitment, if that were to be the option, our commitment is that where they are is where they're going to be.
Yes.
And that whatever their status is, to the degree it is humanly possible, that will be maintained in this transition, so that those relationships will be maintained.
Yes.
Those connections will be maintained. And we've now addressed that middle ground as well, so that any discomfort and so forth can be dealt with more effectively. That's my understanding.
I think so. And so it may be helpful to summarize the question that is before us and the questions that we've had over the past few weeks. The district was required to go out for bid because we had a contract that was ending, and so we had to do something. As a part of doing that due diligence with respect to the current contract, several options were identified to either continue with the services that we have now, which is FPS, daytime custodians, and contracted night custodians, Or as a second option, there was something around having the custodial contract take over the supplies and keeping things the way they were, but this company would take over the supplies, which was some savings. Or the third option, which was to fully privatize at a savings of about $3 million over a 3-year period. The district initially recommended that the board approve our continued work with ABM, so there were other options with other service providers, and that was because our current contractor, we've received some positive feedback regarding their work and believe that any transition, if whatever based on the board approves, would be a smoother transition. And so the options that we have before us are only with respect to the current service provider, not any new service providers. The first concern that was raised by the board was the wages of our current staff. And so the district supported that third option as we maintain our current daytime custodians at their same hourly wage. And that was something that the district went back and negotiated with the service provider because that was a concern of the board was, folks' livelihood with respect to lower wage. The second question sort of came around service and a question around service quality. We've experienced a decline in service before, and that's certainly something that folks were concerned about. Again, we have some visibility with respect to service because we're using the service provider now. The district went out, or Luke Coudeau actually went out and got some references, and those all came back very positive. There was also some questions around the number of people who would maintain a job. There was some noise around not everyone being able to transition over, and so we got that clarified, that anyone who wanted to transition over would be able to transition over, so there would be no turnover there. Another question was around benefits, and so we dealt with the wage issue, and so the next question was around benefits. We were able to look into the benefit plan offering, and we know that the district actually went back and did some work because we noticed that benefits would not be offered for 60 days, and the district went back and renegotiated that such that that would be waived for staff that were hired by FPS, so the benefits would start immediately. We also had some questions around what the funds would be used for if we were to move in that direction. The board recently approved significant pay raises for many employees such that our targeted fund balance was impacted and we weren't necessarily within the bands that we would have liked to be when we approved the budget in June. And this would offset some of that to put us back into a fund balance that was more comfortable and aligned with policy. We could also use those funds to bring back after-school tutoring run by our educators for students and families who want that service. We could continue to invest in our team-based staffing model that includes collaborative planning time with teams across the district. We could invest in our classroom sizes and keep those lower, especially for elementary level, and support some additional reading and math at the early grades. We could add instructional coaches at the middle school and high school level. And so those were some of the conversations. Ultimately, though, I think there was still some uneasiness, right, around weighing the care that we have for our staff and the impact to 22 folks that was still, I think in everyone's sort of hearts and minds, and in particular, just a general resistance to change given what we believe would be a culture shift. And that was expressed time and time again in the many emails that we received from folks. And so that is certainly weighing on many of our staff, many of our board members, and certainly our staff members who are telling us that. And so that's something that we're going to have to balance. And I think that's why and how Dr. Coffin met with the group. I think most folks came in after hours and had some really good conversations about little things, inclusive of what color shirts we wear, whether we're branded Farmington Public Schools or not. And I think that you were able to get through some of those conversations.
Yeah, and I think the other piece, too, is the concern of their work during the day being impacted with some of the processes and procedures that were happening in the evening. And that's why the change was made immediately, where we shifted the supervision and who was taking over the contract, as well as setting up regular meetings for a current model that we have. Sorry. That came directly from the feedback that they
Yeah. So I think that even given all of the questions, and I appreciate the district going over and beyond and getting some of these questions answered and going back and negotiating with the service provider, I appreciate all of that. There's still some of this anxiety. For me personally, I don't speak for the rest of the board, but as part of this discussion, one of the things I'm thinking about is cost. And, I can't, I obviously value people. We have at this board table invested in our people constantly and will continue to do that. For me, and I'm the accountant on the board, I need to weigh cost and benefit. And so when I think about the impact here, I am more than willing to invest $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000 in our staff, right? That's what I would generally think is a good amount of investment to continue your professional education, to do some professional learning, to go back to school, right? All of those kinds of things I'm willing to invest in. This investment works out to be about $150,000 per person. And that's where I pause and I start to think about where those funds might be redirected. Is that the kind of investment that I'd want to make? And I don't know, I can't say, but that's what I'm thinking through. And so with that, I think, everybody's got some different thoughts and opinions, but I think we're at the point now where we need to make a decision. Mrs. Heinrich?
To your point, all the feedback we've got is how important the relationships are in the building with our custodians. And that's very important. We're in the people business. When we talk about the cost, we talk about programs. We had coffee and conversations, parents from an elementary school came and said we had tutors last year. This year we don't have them. We're piloting a reading program in a title building, and if it works out, we have title funds in our title buildings, but what about the other buildings have students that could benefit from the services, but we don't have the funding for because they're not title funding. So budgeting is always precarious. I do not believe in treating people like a budget, like a line item on a spreadsheet, because I've had that experience and it's not pleasant. I think it's really important to listen to the importance of the relationships. And one of the things that seems to be consistent is the fact that people that work for Farmington Public Schools values their employees. And when we went back, and none of us were, well, some of us were probably on the board when the initial privatized and it didn't go well. That wasn't a good experience. We have found a company that we've had a good experience. So this is not, so the stories is when we went to privatization. Yes, it was such a bad experience, but if we go with the changing the contract on Friday to Monday, the same person that was at work at Friday is going to show up on Monday, and they're going to be the same person, and they're going to still have the relationships in the building, and they're still going to have the same work ethic. And I think one of the things in looking at all of the things that we've done is this ABM company seems to value its employees also because we said to them, we won't even consider it if you don't consider the employees' wages. It's important that our employees have benefits immediately. It's in whatever issues we've brought to ABM, it seems like we have evidence that they care for the employees. When Dr. Coffin talked to some of the evening custodians, she shared feedback that they've had positive experience as far as being employees of ABM. And so I haven't heard a lot of I've heard horror stories about GRPS. Okay, but I haven't heard horror stories about ABM. Our buildings have been clean. It seems like there've been some issues where work wasn't completed at night, but they weren't aware of it, and now that they're aware of it, adjustments are being made. So it's a work in progress. It's a people business. And so the bottom line is what is best for the entire school district and for our students and for our employees, and how can we continue to provide services that are needed, and how can we be conscious about the cost of the services and how best to allocate our resources. And so it's not an easy decision, and it's something that I think it weighs heavy on every member of this board. Whatever decision that we go with, I think will be the right decision for this district, because we take the time to listen to all of the feedback from our community and our employees, and we also take the time to listen to the feedback from our fellow board members.
Thank you. Mr. Walker.
Yes, sir. First, I want to commend the committee for this kind of work. Dr. Coffin, all of you involved, the level of detail, getting the responses and information back, greatly appreciated. I want to lift up for just briefly that with respect to the company, I don't know that I can say that this is about them respecting their employees. I don't know that I have necessarily evidence of it, but what I do have evidence of is that they want us and want to keep us as a client. And I'm happy to see that we have taken the time to leverage that in order to make this the best possible situation should it go this way as possible. And it's something that I would hope we would continue to utilize, not inappropriately, but to the protection and in honoring, if we end up going this way, honoring what those persons did in the past as if this decision moves in this direction going forward. So I want to make sure that we understand that they need to make sure they do right by our folks, regardless, because we are the customer and they are our client. I want to be very clear about that part.
Yeah, and if I could just add on to that, Mr. Walker. So as I mentioned, there was the contract management piece that falls on us, not on our employees. It falls on us. And ABM has committed to having an office space and being in our district every day to ensure. So everything we have asked for, they have done and gone above and beyond. I think there was some communication gaps prior, and I just, again, appreciate our custodians coming and sharing that information so I could get to the bottom of what was happening. I feel like we're pretty close to that, and we have the right people in the right positions now with the commitment from that company of having a space and being in our district every day. And that's one thing that was missing, is the presence of them supporting their people.
Thank you. Again, thank you for the work across the board. It's not been easy.
Yes. Thank you. It's important to feel valued by the place where you work, and whatever decision we make, our custodial staff, if we keep our current model, we have some Farmington and some ABM custodial staff, but we want everyone to feel included and part of our Farmington family. So are there some ways, either way, that we can as a district do that so that that feeling of family and community continues?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing we do with our edu staff. The majority of our teachers who substitute teach with us are part of another company. But I know Brad and his department does a lot of work to help them feel part of Farmington family. So there's, and again, if we have dropped the ball on that, that's on us. That is not on them. So, you know, for us, that is our job. And I just appreciate everyone meeting with us and sharing how that felt, because we had some that also worked for us and for the company, and so it gave me a very good perspective on what we needed to do moving forward.
So there are ways, because we've done it with, we do it with the edu staff, that, so we already have a model that we could implement so that everyone feels like part of the Farmington family, no matter where their paycheck is coming from, but that they're a valued part of our Farmington community and family.
Mrs. Heinrich?
Yeah, we asked, one of the things the committee asked was to check the references of other school districts that ABM works with. And Ann Arbor Public Schools was one of the ones that was referenced, and they said that Ann Arbor has 158 custodians across 36 buildings, so it's probably maybe a little bit bigger than Farmington.
Yeah.
All right, but they partnered with them since 2014, so that's 12 years, and they're currently spending another 2-year succession, or extension. My words are not coming out right. They express satisfaction with the services provided and emphasis that success depends on holding management accountable and maintaining strong working relationships, which it sounds like we saw a need and we're addressing it. And they also said that they feel ABM staff had built solid relationships within the district and feel like part of the organization.
Yep.
And so we're really looking for our employees to be long-term employees. And before we went to the hybrid model, we hired employees that were good employees for a contract company. And so we selected employees with a good work ethic. And so, you know, it's our hope that that will continue because whatever we bring to our buildings, we want to continue doing that. We also had references from Lansing Public Schools and Plymouth Canton Public Schools, and they were similar as far as Lansing has worked since 2024, and then Plymouth Canton since 2021.
Couple of things. I'm having just a disconnect that's happening, and maybe it can help. I got a couple of things. The first thing is, for the savings that we're going to be experiencing, say $1 million a year, $3 million, right? Okay, so here's my disconnect. If you're paying, if that other company, if ABM is paying that company the same wages, great benefits, but on the Farmington side, there's $1 million gap. Is it that I don't understand how they're saving that much, because we're not a for-profit company. Therefore, I don't see that. I just don't see that cost. I don't understand it for that. Where are we going to get that $1 million from? Which we can, if we really want to reduce $1 million of that cost, what is it? Well, I don't understand. So that's the disconnect for that. And then also, secondly, and it could become, it could come from retirement, other benefits and everything like that. But if ABM is having the same or I don't know, better benefits, then I just don't understand why we can't match it. But and then secondly, that although we say everything's going to stay the same in the contracts, and they're going to stay at the same schools and all these other things. So I just have a problem with they may have their employee handbook of rules and regulation saying that, hey, if you're 15 minutes late, or if you've missed this or missed that, you're going to get terminated immediately. That I don't understand their policies for that, and so somehow I I just see a lot of loopholes that I don't understand that could come up, that could be easy, although it's in the contract, but there's always other ways to get around certain things. I just really have a problem with that. And thirdly, we all know the contribution and the morale of having custodians that are protected by Farmington Public School policies, that they go above beyond in case if there's an incident like a kid or two kids in a hallway get into it. And I don't want it to be a point of the custodians second guessing their job to say, should I go and, intervene in this little squabble with these kids, or am I going to lose my job if I say something? So guess what happens? I take the safe route, and so I'm not losing my job over them. And therefore, I think we're going to be losing something from that point. So those are my points that I have. I'm not really wrestling with, but I just see the logic for it.
I can answer a couple, and maybe you want to talk about the economy of scale.
Yeah, I will, and then I will go to Mrs. Smith. I don't think anybody can speak to the savings. I'm just doing it. Only the contractor can do that. But what I will say is that I don't think that anyone is saying that everything will be equal. The wage will be equal. The benefits will not be equal. I don't know what the benefits are, but there is a benefits package. Clearly, that is likely where most of the savings is in all of the other benefits and whatever retirement and that sort of area. I expect that the contractor is likely, because their original proposal to us was not to match the wage, and it also was not to offer benefits immediately. So they're taking a bit of a loss because they want our business. So originally, the $1 million a year in savings was being created because they were going to pay us a lower wage. The district went back and renegotiated that. And as a result, I don't know if the company's taken a loss, but when they look at the whole of the contract, having both the day and evening, it's still something that they want to do. And I believe they get more benefits and economies of scale, particularly on the supplies. That's where it's creating a savings. I think everyone on this table would agree that we're going to lose something if we proceed to outsource. I don't think that is a question at all. Will it be on the cleanliness of the buildings? Will it be on the culture? Will it be both? I certainly think that as an employee of the district, I probably will behave differently than if I'm a contractor in the district. And so, yes, we run that risk. And that's why this is such a difficult decision to make. I don't disagree with you. And so that's where we have to figure out what the balance is.
So if I can just address some of it. We have 51 custodians that work in the afternoon and evening that work for ABM, some who were ours and chose to go work for ABM. That means they're at athletic events, they're here, they are stepping in, they are part of everything that happens in the evenings in our buildings. We have some of our day custodians who are also working at night and are giving all of their effort as much as they do in the day. So remember, I think Ms. Heinrich said all the people we have for day came from another company, and we brought them on because of their exceptional work. And we had this conversation when we met, that they were exceptional when they worked for the other company, and they're exceptional working with us now, and we'll continue that. So that's a little bit of it, but we have people right now. And to your point of where the standards are, it's Farmington standards, because we are paying them to provide this service. And that's when I mentioned that we have not been managing the contract as we should have been to ensure that that quality was there. So it isn't that they come in and say, we're going to do this. We say, you're working here at Farmington, and here's the standards we have. Luke has had several meetings with them to ensure that that's the way it looks. It's the way it looks in the after. We identified some gaps in that connection of what you were saying about what was happening, and did they have the right direction or support in the evening. And that's what we are shifting. So So again, these are the same people that have been doing great work with us for many years under a company or with us. And they brought up some ways that, to Dr. Blau's point, they didn't want to feel excluded from Farmington because they love working here. And that's on us to ensure that continues.
Mrs. Smith and then Mrs. Heinrich.
Thank you, President Weems. At our last meeting, Dr. Coffin, I guess she must have thought I had some timers when she said, Ms. Smith, we've done this before, and I'm aware. I was on the board when they did it the first time, and I'm going to be on the board again when we do it again, maybe. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is, I understand. But we have our board members here that, you have our board, this board, that will look at things in a different way than me, and then you got me. I'm an old head. I ain't the oldest one up here, but I'm an old head. It's like a marriage contract to me. Whether you've been married by the priest, the minister, the rabbi, justice of the peace, when you take those vows, you have a contract. Some people get prenups, but then you have those that you think you're going to follow that contract. There's some hidden secrets in that contract that everybody don't see. I don't believe in hidden secrets and hidden things in contracts. So this contract may be beautiful and green on the other side, but it hasn't, doesn't mean that that contract is going to be what all will want. There might be some hidden things in there, and they come back and say, well, we thought, and then we have somebody come back and say, well, we had something hidden right here. If it's not broke, it's not fixed. To me, if it's not broken, it doesn't need to be fixed. And I understand, Dr. Coffin, that we do have to revisit things, including your contract. So I say that to say, I'd like to know why we're talking to Luke and not Mr. Barth. Because I know Mr. Barth is the man that's over our facilities, and I've known Mr. Barth for a while, and Mr. Barth has always given us conversations and, broke things down to us in ways that we could really, really get it. I'm not saying, some people would say, well, Dr. Coffin, why would we renew your contract? But we know what's in that contract, and we don't have nothing hidden in it. And we tell that to people. We are going to be transparent when it comes down to you and your contract. But I don't want a contract given to these custodians. And these custodians find out there's something else in it. This past Saturday, we were at the board retreat at Wood Creek, and our custodian was cleaning buildings and doing everything. People have a tendency to look down on others. I was raised never to look down on anybody unless I was picking them up, tying their shoes, helping them. Almost had to help a community member if he'd have kept walking up to me today. He wouldn't have liked the way the help was going to be given, but I'd have helped him. But at the end of the day, this board took great pride in having that custodian there. And we made sure we thanked her. We did not look at her like, thank you, whatever, even though she may have was supposed to be there, but maybe she wasn't. But my thing is, like I said just a few minutes ago, contracts. Contracts have things, even as a spouse, you took vows to say you may not wear rollers or you may not gain no weight. But in there, you done wore them rollers, and I done been without eyelashes, and I done gained weight. So I don't believe in changing contracts if they don't need to be changed.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mrs. Heinrich, were you next? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, and I'll go
Oh,
after you.
no, go ahead. I was just looking up, I mean, part of the board packet was, a lot of the savings was in consumables and equipment that ABM would provide. That they have a bigger buying power. They're in the cleaning business. We're in the education business. And so they have better prices on those things.
I'm going to let Mr. Rosento and then come back to you. Mr. Rosento?
Yeah, I think like it's been brought up, I think, we are going to lose something. I think my thought is, you can't buy culture. If you could, we'd be spending $1 million a year to get the culture in every single school up to speed. So there are opportunity costs, that have to balance with the financial costs. I'm a big proponent of much, and I think it will happen. I hope that it's sort of a one-team mentality. It doesn't really matter where you're getting paid, but that our team will participate in the opening day, schools and work and perform tasks as well as any other employee. I am more concerned about kind of the, my hesitation would be on, the employees are speaking and they do seem to want to be part of the Farmington Hills family. It was loud and clear. And their teachers and their administrator and their building are all in support of that. So that kind of rubs me a little bit wrong. Also, to be honest, it's the one employee that we're retaining. We're keeping one, I believe, to reach retirement. And then it's sort of, we keeping one, but not all. That doesn't make much sense. And then even then, the savings, I want to ensure, as I noodle, that it doesn't go to, I think, paying other people. Like we're taking pay from one to pay another part of the organization. So that's sort of where I'm wrestling at. It is sort of the opportunity cost. Is it going to be, I think the actual functions are going to be fine. Again, I do kind of, I did not think about sort of the policies that another company has regarding interference, dealing with children. I think you had mentioned, however, they're in other schools, but there could be issues there that's unexpected, and maybe we should see with things that we can control and maintain that. So,
Mr. Hall?
So my question is that, as the savings is from them purchasing the consumables, that has a lot to do with the savings. So, I don't know, I'm just asking an obvious question: why can't that just be in a contract for what it is? Since they already got our evening crew, why can't they just purchase the consumables if they got the best buying power for us? If they really want our business, I mean, I'm saying that. So,
did you have a response to that?
Well, I was just going to say about the consumables, I attended one of the sessions at the MASB Annual Leadership Conference this past fall. There were 3 small districts, I can't remember what they are, somewhere else in the state, that combined services like that so that they could have those significant savings on consumables and equipment. So there is a significant savings by having this other, by having ABM purchase and maintain the equipment and their large purchasing power for all the consumables and cleaning supplies and toilet paper and all that. You wouldn't think so, but it does make a big difference.
yeah, so why can't they do it right now? I mean, I'm just asking a question.
I'm sorry.
That was one of the
Conditions?
The bids, yes, but without the day staff, the savings was not as realized.
Maybe we can, I don't know.
And I think it's just important, I think the whole purpose of having this discussion is that there was, when we went out to bid, there was, we found that we could save, the district could capture $3 million, $1 million per year, by keeping the wages the same, keeping our same people, keeping them in the building that they care about so much, which we hear all the time, and ensuring they had benefits and that they didn't have to wait for those. So that's really the decision, because the priorities of the board are very clear as far as what we, we're here for our students and what we do there. And I believe that every person sitting in this room agrees that that's our focus. So that's really what it comes down to.
I think that is a great sort of thing to land on, is a thought with students in mind. I think we ought to call the question.
Well, actually, this is discussion, and we have public comments.
Oh,
and
that's
gonna
right.
come up as-
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Is there any further discussion? So then we will end this conversation, and we will move on to our next public comment period. Is there any public comment? Haley, you're going to go first. And is that Skylar?
Yeah.
Skylar, you're second? I remember you. So we're going to have same rules. I think you were here earlier, so we can just get to it. We're going to have Haley first, Skylar, and then Constance will be next. When you're ready.
I am presenting this information to provide context surrounding our concern for the outsourcing of our custodial staff. This is a shortened version of an email that each of the board members have received. I would like to point out that the only major factor that changed between your previously failed custodial contracts and the current hybrid model, featuring what has been considered a significant improvement of staff satisfaction, is this plan involves Farmington Public School in-house custodians. Our efforts and personal investment in our schools are being used as an appealing point to bolster ABM's own perception of competence, and mistakenly are not attributing this success to the hybrid model as a whole that we as the FPS custodial trailblazers work diligently to turn around. ABM has stated that they will match our current pay rate and that they provide benefits packages. This has misled some of the board to think that the only thing that would differ between our current circumstances is that we would lose our title and our pride as FPS employees. As much as I hold that Farmington pride within me, I cannot financially afford to place my greatest concern with my title. ABM, as well as all third-party models, that have been considered, provided less substantial benefits and will cost me out of pocket to invest in them. Essentially, I would be taking a pay cut in order to attempt to meet the standard that FPS provides to me. An unemployment officer would consider this downgrade in benefits an unsuitable transition of an employment due to lack of comparable quality of life. ABM is currently facing staffing shortages and cannot employ enough staff through your buildings as is. A considerable amount of their staff are actually FPS employees during the day. The folks who presented the proposal to have an all third-party custodians have not provided answers as to how they intend to continue to employ these current FPS employees under the exclusive employment of ABM. Speaking frankly, there is no way a third party intends to pay the overtime that would be necessary for ABM to provide if the staff that is currently working both jobs were compensated with overtime necessary to cover these shifts. This does not even consider the ramifications of the FPS custodians who will choose to seek work elsewhere because of this potential decision. I hope by presenting this information it offers insight as to why there has been so much outcry regarding your consideration of a full third party. I understand it is a necessary part of the process, but this process was not known to us until we were on the brink of losing our employment with Farmington Public Schools. I hope these points remind you to envision the decline in quality of the services you currently receive. I am entirely confident that a decision to fully outsource again will result in the exact same scenarios you were faced with when dealing with previous third-party companies. I would like to highlight that the decision you are making is one that considers the sense of safety, community, and consistency that we provide, and the futures of the lives we impact and are worth investing in. Thank you.
Thank you. Skylar?
Hello. I don't have a speech. I just wanted to go over something. When I started this job, we have two options for our retirement. You can pick, as much as you work here, you can take that with you wherever, or there's the plan where you have to work 10 years for a school district. So knowing that we've already replaced our Farmington custodians before, I asked multiple times with multiple of my different bosses to figure out, so if this 10-year plan, it's great, but we've already replaced all our custodians before, and if I lose my job, I won't be able to carry that unless I find another school job. And they assured me we would never make that same mistake, over and over and over. And I just kind of feel like a fool for setting myself up for a 10-year plan when there was a 4-year plan that none of us were even aware of. And it's really changed my entire life. So, thank you.
Thank you. Constance McKenzie, if there's anyone else who wants to make a public comment, please let us know.
Good evening, board members, and thank you for taking the time to listen to all of our concerns, and we really appreciate it. I had someone to send in an email for me because I didn't have access, and I just want to know that everyone received that synopsis that I sent in. And I have the hard copies I'd like you to have because I invested money in to make sure you had these pictures. I keep hearing about money, that's the issue, okay? Farmington community is a good, strong community with good bones, very good bones. Enough reputation, good reputation to get money from any place and every place. I used to do fundraising, and I also worked for late Senator Dave Holmes' wife, and there's tons of foundations that would gladly give you money based on your reputation. You got a school, you got a house sitting on 11 Mile Road, just east of it's on 11 Mile, just east of Farmington. That one building speaks volumes to who you are. This is where descendants of slaves, that's their home. That was their home. You have a street named Freedom Road. That was a part of the Underground Railroad, where Safe Haven. There's corporations like Burroughs Foundation, Kresge Foundation, that would gladly give you whatever money that you needed. So if this is just about money, or you needing money, the money's there. All you have to do is ask for it. Everyone is saying about the salaries and the guarantees and all that. But once that door is closed, you can't control what people do. Once your custodians are out of your control, you can't control it. They can say anything they want to say to you, but that doesn't mean they have to honor it. They can come up with all kinds of excuses why they could not honor it. The custodians that I've worked with, it's not about the money. It's about belonging to the district. They want to remain employees of the district. So if you need me to go on the road and try to drum up some money, I've got a lot of experience in that, and I'll be glad to do it. They don't want to move to another company. That's the issue. So I'd like to give you these documents that I invested in, so that you can have them. And I really, please, reconsider what you're thinking about things.
Touch the microphone.
I thank you, but it's not about the money. It's about feeling like you belong to a cause you bought in on. And when I made the application, there was no contingency clause in my application. There's nothing in my application that said within 2 years, because that's all I've been here, that you're going to have to be sourced out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is it Harold D. Mack?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello. I'd just like to say one thing about my coworkers. I couldn't pick a better group of people to work with. I've been doing this type of work for 50-some years. I've worked with 4 different districts. And Farmington District has been one of the best districts I ever worked for. I know that you come together to plan and work things out. I know Politics and numbers are big in the equation. But when you stop and look at your district, starting with the administration, starting with the schools, the principals, teachers, students, parents, community, and you stop and watch the decisions that have been made over the years. Some schools was a blessing to the district. It created multitudes of greatness. Harrison, which is no longer here. Farmington produced stars from all walks of life. North, same thing. Each one of our middle schools on this board, our kids are booming. Every custodian you see in here participate in every child in every school. We work with the teachers, the parents, the coaches, the sports program, soccer, hockey, golf, football, baseball, track, swimming, chess games, tournaments. We break down, set up every school. I work in Maxfield now. I come to work every day at 6:15. I get up at 4 with my mindset on my job. I honor and respect leadership. I look to fulfill my part. I don't wait for somebody to ask me to fulfill my part. I have a servitude attitude. My co-workers I work with, all of them have the same type of attitude. Each and every last one would get a phone call to come in 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, to move 4 or 5 inches of snow. When most of the teachers, administrators, you guys are asleep, we are in the storm. We got sent home 2016, 17, 18, 19. We went south.
Thank you,
We
Mr. Matt.
subsidized. I just want to say this. We went back and we lost. We came back and got thrown in the fire when COVID came. We built these schools and brought these schools back up for everybody to come back.
Thank you, Mr. Matt.
And now we're here. Thank you.
We appreciate your comments. Thank you. Is there any further public comment? Is there any further public comment? Seeing no further public comment, we will move on to action items. The first item is the marching band uniforms, and as a reminder, let me get to it. These are marching band uniforms for both Farmington and North Farmington High School. We had some questions at our last meeting, one of which was to get some feedback from students. That was delivered in your board packet. I'm really happy to announce that the students at North Farmington were very pleased with the design, and there was overwhelming positivity. And I was really happy, too, that they interviewed 8th graders as well. So those are the students that are going to get the most use out of those uniforms. So with that, we will entertain a motion. Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of new marching band uniforms for Farmington High School and North Farmington High School from DeMullen Brothers and Company at a total cost of $258,825.70, utilizing consortium pricing.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker, to approve the purchase of new marching band uniforms at a total cost of $258,825.70, using consortium pricing. Is there discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Jacinto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
I myself am yes. Ms. Weems?
I'm a yes, that motion passes. Thank you. Next is the structured cabling recommendation, which was also presented at our meeting on February 24th. Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the Board of Education approve the award of the structured cabling contract to Complete Interactive Technologies Incorporated, CIT, in the amount of $506,303.60. This project will be funded by the 2020 bond as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith, to approve the award of the structured cabling contract to Complete Interactive Technologies in the amount of $506,303.60 to be funded by the 2020 bond. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Bacinto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
I myself am a yes. President Weems?
I'm a yes, that motion passes. Thank you. The next one is the network electronics recommendation, which was also presented at our February 24th meeting. Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the Board of Education authorize the purchase and installation of network electronics from Delta Networking Services in the amount of $709,402.99. This project will be funded by the 2020 bond as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith, to authorize the purchase and installation of network electronics from Delta Networking Services in the amount of $709,402.99 to be funded by the 2020 bond. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call vote again, please?
Yes. Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Rosinto, sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
I myself am a yes. Ms. Weems?
I am a yes. Thank you. That motion passes. The next item is the custodial bid recommendation. Is there a motion? Mrs. Heinrich?
I move that the board approve entering into a contract with ABM Educational Services, LLC, to implement a full-service custodial cleaning services model with ABM responsible for staffing all daytime, afternoon, and evening custodial services position, with the exception of one AM custodian position to be retained by Farmington Public Schools, and with the ABM responsible for the cost of custodial equipment and consumable and cleaning supplies in accordance with the resolution form of contract as presented to the board, and waive the reading of the resolution.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mrs. Smith, to enter into a contract with ABM to implement a full-service custodial cleaning services model with ABM responsible for staffing all daytime, afternoon, and evening, with the exception of one AM custodial position to be retained, and with ABM responsible for the cost of custodial equipment and consumables. Is there any discussion? I just want to say one thing for me, and it kind of came up tonight and it hit me. Closing Harrison High School was the hardest decision I've ever had to make. And I remember sitting at North Farmington on stage with tears in my eyes because that was extremely difficult. And I knew we lost something great with Harrison. Harrison had a spirit. It was a special school. Kids got along like I've never seen anything like it. We lost something when we closed Harrison High School. There's no doubt in my mind about it. At the same time, if I had to vote again, I don't know that I could vote to keep a school open, to keep that, even to keep that spirit. It was, and I don't know that that's the right answer, but I wish we could figure out how to keep some of the intangibles that we know that are impacted in decisions like this, if this is something that gets approved by the board. With that, may we have a roll call vote, please? Yes.
I just want to make
Yes,
sure
of course.
for this motion, because it's 3 motions,
Mhm.
and I want to make sure that I understand what
Yes.
we have.
Thank you.
So is this, so what we moved on was the full
Yes.
hybrid, I mean, not the full hybrid, the full outsourcing?
Yes,
Okay, and that the.
with the exception of one person.
Except for one person, and ABM paying for.
The consumables.
Consumable. Got you. Okay.
Yes. Mrs.
Yes.
Yes, okay, Secretary.
Mr. Hall,
No.
Mr. Walker,
No.
Ms. Heinrich,
Yes.
Mr. Bricinto,
No.
Ms. Smith.
No.
I myself am a no. Ms. Weems.
I'm a yes.
Thank you.
Motion does not pass. Is there another motion? Yes, Mrs. Heinrich.
I move that the board approve entering into a contract with ABM Educational Services LLC to implement a hybrid custodial cleaning model utilizing Farmington Public Schools staff for daytime custodial services and ABM staff for afternoon and evening services, with Farmington Public Schools responsible for the cost of custodial equipment and consumable and cleaning supplies, and according to the resolution and form of contract as presented to the board, and waive the reading of the resolution.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker, to approve entering into a contract with ABM Education Services to implement a
Hybrid
custodial cleaning model utilizing Farmington Public Schools staff for daytime custodial services and ABM staff for afternoon and evening services, with Farmington Public Schools, no, that's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Yes, responsible for the
We would
cost.
pay the consumables?
With Farmington Public Schools responsible for the cost of custodial equipment and consumable and cleaning supplies in accordance with the resolution and form of contract as presented to the board. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Earlier, it was mentioned that there was this form that was presented with them paying the consumables.
Correct.
But that was removed because we didn't think that the cost savings was negligible.
There was no
or
motion yet.
No, they didn't. We had to, the only one where they offered to pay the consumables was the full model.
Okay.
We had three options. We had the hybrid model, we had ABM supplying the labor, and we would supply the consumables, and then we had ABM supplying everything, labor and consumables.
I feel like there was a fourth one, this
There
originally
wasn't,
presented.
it would have cost us more.
It would have cost us more to do it that way.
We
Okay,
took it
thank you.
off.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry, can I just ask, what is the difference between option 1 and 2?
2 is fully outsourced with us maintaining the equipment. And
What is the
consumables.
difference between 2 and 3?
3 is fully outsourced with ABM, having all of the materials and consumables and the equipment.
repeat.
2 and 3 are fully outsourced. Option 1 is keeping the current hybrid and us keeping the consumables.
I see. Okay. Mrs. Smith?
Can you repeat that one again? The first one was to,
Keep everything as it is, and FPS pay the consumables, which we do right now, so keep everything as it is.
and so these last 2 are to resource them out.
Yep.
Correct. And so the option to outsource the consumables resulted in a higher price?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And that's why this is not here.
Right.
Okay.
Mrs. Heinrich, did you have some discussion?
No,
Okay.
I just, make sure everyone's on the same page.
Roll call? Yep.
You didn't,
Do you want more discussion?
I just want to make sure that, because there's 3 of them here, and I just want to make sure I'm not saying the wrong one.
So this one keeps everything as it is?
Okay, everything else is, yes.
So this one, what we're doing now is keeping everything as it is?
Correct.
Correct, okay. The one that we're voting on now?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Mr. Jacinto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
I myself am a yes. President Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes.
That motion passes. All right, we are moving on to our next agenda item, which is the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. A, approval of minutes. Number 1, February 24th, 2026 regular meeting. Number 2, March 2nd, 2026 Finance Facility Committee meeting. And 3, March 7th, 2026 Board Retreat.
Support.
Motion made by Mrs. Heinrich and supported by Mr. Walker to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Are there any reports from board representatives? Mrs. Heinrich.
Oakland County School Board Association, next meeting is March 18th. The deadline to register is tomorrow. The program is AI, bring your own device. Let Colleen know if you want to attend.
Thank you. Any other reports?
I'm sorry, could you repeat when that was again, please?
It's March 18th, so it's a week from tomorrow. It's a Wednesday. So it's dinner. You have to let Colleen know what you want for dinner and let her know before tomorrow.
And you have to bring a computer.
You don't have to bring your computer, you bring your own device.
Oh, and device.
You can bring a phone or an
Gotcha,
iPad.
gotcha. You're right, sorry.
Your mini computer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Any other reports? Seeing none, we are now adjourned.